Okay. Hello, this is... Oh, wait, I need to put my costume on. Hello, welcome to Game Center Live. This is our weekly talk show here at NYU Game Center, where we talk about important things going on in the game industry, as well as we talk to students, see what students are up to, and we also play games on occasion on this video game stream. Today we have a really great show for you to we're going to be playing some Resident Evil 2 Remake with our horror games class professor, Matt Weiss. Today we are also debuting a new segment. We're gonna, instead of Naomi talking about the news with me, she's gonna argue about the news with our director, Frank Lance, for about 30 minutes about whatever important thing is going on right now. And then for the last 30 minutes, we will be meeting a student as usual. And so it should be a jam-packed, awesome hour. Let's first do some announcements. Where should I stand? Okay, I'll sit here. Okay, so for some quick announcements, Game Center students, advising season has begun. Registration will start on November 11th for you to register in your classes. So you have about 1 more week to meet with your faculty advisor, or else you will be locked out of registration and then you will not get the classes you want. So that'll be pretty sad if that happens. Next, Playtest Thursday is running tonight, as usual, 5:30 to 7 p.m. at 370 J Street on the 6th floor lounge. This is open to students and the public, so feel free to just come, show up, play some games, eat some pizza, playtest games, or get your games playtested. So this is an open community event to everyone, as well as our students. More people are getting into the Halloween spirit around New York City. So Baby Castles, our local punk DIY art gallery, is running something called Spooky Bets. Spooky Bets is a Halloween Mugen casino, or is it Mugen? Is it Mugen or Mugen? I don't know. Mugen Casino with a live DJ. That's tonight at October 31st at 6 p.m. Visit Baby Castles for more information on that. Then Wonderville is another local indie kind of arcade bar going on, and Wonderville is running an event called Trick or Trivia. That's also tonight, 9 p.m. That's a Halloween gamer trivia night or something. So, you know, there's plenty of events to go to and support your local New York games community while doing it. GDC prep is also ramping up. If you want to exhibit your game at GDC, there's several options for you to do that. This year, or this coming year, the New York State government has this weird super cool profit arm called Empire State Development, where they want you to build companies and stuff. So New York State government / Empire State Development, they will let you use their booth for very cheap if you demo and exhibit your game with them at GDC. So that sounds like a pretty cool deal to me. Just email nydigitalgamedev@esd.ny.gov. That's a pretty bad email address. I encourage the Empire State Development folks to get a shorter email address. But just Google that. You can probably find it. The info and application to exhibit with New York State at GDC for cheap is due by November 7th. So you have about 1 week to get that application in. Email them for information so that you can do that. Next. Another opportunity to go to GDC. GDC, as we all know, is super expensive, but we keep going there anyway. And the New York City IGDA, International Game Developer Association, runs this thing called the GDC Scholars Program, which is a really great way for students to attend GDC for very cheap or even for free. So if you apply for this scholarship program, the video camera, the cam feed is frozen. That's not good. Okay, so maybe what did we do to fix that last time? Is that how we fixed it? Oh wait, I'm back. Hello, thank you. What was I saying? Oh yeah, the GDC scholarship program is going on. You get a free GDC pass, a travel stipend, as well as free networking stuff. So definitely apply this GDC Scholars thing. Applications are due at the end of November, November 29th. So definitely make sure you apply to that and stuff. Okay, so that's the end of our announcements. Please visit our website and YouTube and all that stuff. We have good content for you. Please make use of that content. All right, well, shifting gears, let's welcome our first guest of the day. Our first guest is Teaches here, and he's an indie game developer here in New York City. Please welcome Matt Weiss to the program. Hello, Matt. Is your mic on? Yeah, your mic
is it on? Is it on? Okay.
Awesome.
Hey, everyone. Should we sit in a? Is this an okay configuration?
Oh yeah,
maybe?
We should
it's
maybe
a little bit
angle more like this,
right,
maybe.
Like this. Should I wear this?
I mean, if you want.
I don't.
If you want to get in the spirit.
I should. I mean, I have glasses. Will this work?
Oh, will you be able to play Resident Evil?
Yes, I can play Resident Evil without looking.
Okay, cool.
It's no problem. But
that's a lot of Resident Evil you've played.
Yeah, I have. It is horrible.
That's wild.
Because there's quite a lot in Resident Evil that's not very good. So it's a vice. My glasses work.
Oh yeah, that works. That works really well.
Is this okay?
That's a good look for you.
All right.
Let's go ahead and transition to Resident Evil. So first, do you want to cut to the game capture? Oh my God, why isn't it working?
Oh, the game capture is not working now? It's so dark and scary, it's just black.
This is such a scary game.
So it's so scary, you're not even able to see anything. It's the ultimate, terror of the unknown game experience. It's an avant-garde horror game that's just a black screen.
This is not.
There it is.
Oh wait, what? Wait, is it live? Oh wow, it's really weird though.
Oh, it's got like two screens. It's got a screen within a screen, and then a screen within a screen, within a screen.
It doesn't know what to do.
That's okay.
I'm
fiddling with my eyes wide shut mask.
Why are video games so bad?
Why are video games? That's what I want to know.
Video games are the worst. Oh wait, it's working now. Awesome. Okay. I just had to change the borderless window.
I do hate video games.
Oh gosh, yeah. Oh no, our captions are weird. Oh well. We'll just speak in short bursts so that the captioner doesn't have to word wrap.
That's totally fine.
I think that'll fix everything.
That'll be fine. Yeah, I'll just say short things.
Oh Jesus. Yeah, change the right crop setting on that.
All right.
Okay, so maybe just get us started on this game. So this is the Resident Evil 2 remake.
This is the Resident Evil 2 remake, which came out. I'm trying to think. It came out this year, so it was 2019. But I think it was like January, February, something. So it's been out for a while.
Uh-huh.
And it was, well reviewed. It was well received. It is part of this, in my opinion, this kind of course correction that the Resident Evil franchise has been going on because Resident Evil famously kickstarted the survival horror subgenre of video games in the mid-90s by essentially copying Alone in the Dark, which is like an early 90s old horror game, like a very early example of a horror game. And then they kind of kickstarted this whole genre. It kind of became a thing in the late 90s and early 2000s, which was called survival horror. And then Resident Evil 4 came out and actually reinvigorated the genre, but also destroyed it because it essentially turned everything towards action. And then for about 10 years, Resident Evil was essentially like Gears of War. And to some degree, Gears of War is a little bit inspired by Resident Evil 4 as a kind of Resident Evil 4 inadvertently created a third-person shooter, some people say, but also kind of destroyed the horror genre. And then, for example, if you compare the original Resident Evil 2, which is slow and methodical, to something like Resident Evil 6, which came out in the late, 2012, 2013, I don't know, whatever. It came out within the last 10 years. It's essentially like a Michael Bay movie. It basically goes from being scary it's like George Romero slowly became Michael Bay, and that's like the history of the Resident Evil series. And then finally, this is kind of what we learned about in the class, so that's kind of why I'm giving this whole like narrative of this. But so in the class, for me, this is the context of the game. So like the idea though is that like so for a long time, AAA horror games didn't really have any faith in something that wasn't hardcore action oriented.
Oh, what should we select?
So why don't we do hardcore?
You're hardcore?
Sure.
Okay.
It's terrible, but sure, let's try it. So anyway, what happened is, I guess to make a long story short, but it's too late for that, is that this is after Resident Evil 6, which is like the Michael Bay Resident Evil. They essentially took this really hard turn back to like classic, slow, methodical horror. And the first game to do that was Resident Evil 7. In some ways, sort of like the license to do that came from the fact that games like Amnesia had been very successful. So like the indie world like saved horror games in the last 10 years by proving to AAA game companies that yes, people actually like slow, scary stuff. It doesn't have to have like stupid explosions in it the whole time. And based on that, we have games like Alien Isolation, right? Like budgets have been put towards stuff that is like slower and more methodical, more like traditional kind of like slow burn, scary, weird horror. So this is now coming back into the AAA space. Alien Isolation, Resident Evil 7 were like big pushes for that, and then Resident Evil 2, the remake, is also part of that whole push. So this is like a very back to basics Resident Evil game. They're going back and remaking 2, which is like widely loved as like one of the best games in the series. And in my opinion, the reason why I like this game, for me, Resident Evil 2 is literally the last Resident Evil game before it went off the rails. So
Resident Evil 3 wasn't Resident Evil 3 just reusing all the locations and then
it's reusing some of the locations, but
Okay.
it also has this like really unfortunate thing of like Jill is in this like really stupid outfit, and I just can't believe a minute of it. Like
they're all in stupid outfits.
They are
though,
all
right?
in stupid outfits.
I mean, women in games usually suffer more from that,
right? There are many shades of stupidity in Resident Evil. So like
Yes.
Resident Evil 1 also had stupid outfits. But they were like stupid combat gear outfit, so it's like at least they're in like a stupid SWAT team outfit. They're in a SWAT team outfit.
Uh-huh.
And in Resident Evil 3, they did this whole thing with Jill, where like clearly some marketing team was like, "What should she wear?" And somebody was like, "I don't know, make her look like she's going to a club." And it's that, but in like a zombie apocalypse. There was like literally not even like
but you don't have time to prepare in the zombie
Yeah,
apocalypse
sure,
might happen
sure.
while you're at the club.
Yeah,
right?
except she's in her apartment, and the city has been taken over for weeks. She's been waiting in her apartment the whole time. Apparently, this is the only thing she had.
Oh.
And then she gets out of her apartment by.
That's a bit silly.
It is. So here's the thing. I get in trouble
True.
for like defending the silliness of Resident Evil, and it is a fool's errand, and I shouldn't do it. However, I do believe that there was a point early in the series when there were interesting things about it before it completely nosedived into silliness. For me, 2 is like the last game where I wasn't totally taken out of the experience by how silly it was. Like, the original game is about this cop. We see this here in the remake, is coming to the city. It's like,
This is Leon.
this is Leon,
This Instagram model is Leon.
This Instagram model is Leon, yes. Who was originally supposed to be, he's this rookie cop in this small town. And so the original game is about him coming to the city.
Blood.
It's blood.
That's not a good sign.
Yeah, okay. So here, let's just go. Now's the start of the game. Okay, oh no, I'm in the town. I came to the city, and there's no run. I can't run. So I'm getting gas, and there's blood. And with that amount of blood, would you just walk into the gas station?
I mean, it's weird how it's like scattered and splattered, right? If you were bleeding, there would be like dripping, right? That blood pattern is strange.
It is strange. It's not a normal blood pattern that you would find in front of a gas station. So, okay, picking up the flashlight. This is the flashlight you have with you the whole game. The original game did not have a flashlight because it was before flashlights worked.
Because like graphics.
Because the original
like a graphics.
Here's the thing: the original game is a PS1 game.
Yes.
Released in
pre-rendered
backgrounds, released in 1998. One of the most interesting things about the original game is that it actually had this weird kind of Pulp Fiction-like narrative structure, which has never been replicated in the series.
Oh, he doesn't look so good.
Yep, he has something horrible's happened to him. So this guy's on the ground.
I don't think he's going to have a good end.
He's not going to have a good end. So this is being very strongly telegraphed. The original game does not start this way. The original game, you just show up in the city in the middle of the night, literally in your police outfit, which always made me wonder why he was wearing it and why he was arriving for his first day of job. So this guy, so there's clearly some kind of zombie thing happening here. This guy's having a problem.
Oh, that doesn't look good.
That is not good.
Oh my god.
That is universal horror language for like.
Wait, is he okay? I don't think he's okay.
He could come back from that. With a really talented surgeon, he could come back from that.
That guy.
So here's a gun. Leon, of course, has a gun because he's a cop.
And cops just shoot people. Oh my god. Oh my god.
So this is America.
Oh my god.
Right? Cops can just shoot people.
What's wrong with America? Oh my god.
Okay. So weirdly, Leon is bitten, but he doesn't turn into a zombie because this game doesn't model infection. Because that would be not fun, I guess.
Oh my god.
Oh god.
Oh my god. Why is the zombie so strong?
No, it's hardcore mode. No, what have I done?
Maybe we shouldn't play hardcore
mode. No, maybe we shouldn't play hardcore mode.
I think hardcore mode is
it's not going to work. Oh, man.
Wait, in hardcore mode, you just die in the tutorial? Oh my god.
So I thought hardcore mode was like, okay, maybe we should. We can skip the intro actually. So why don't we? Why don't we not do hardcore mode?
Oh Jesus Christ!
So I thought hardcore mode was just like you can't save as much. I didn't realize like zombies are like impossible to kill.
Wow, that was intense.
So let's go new game. Let's do Claire this time. Let's do standard.
I like the sound of standard.
Standard is standard zombies.
Standard is the real hardcore mode.
Standard is the real hardcore mode.
That's what I'm more.
Okay, now we're gonna skip it. We can. Oh no, that's skip is X. Okay.
In the chat, Aggressive Whispers in the chat is asking, is this a first-time playthrough?
No. I played this game about 6 times, maybe.
Oh, wow. The remake or like all of them?
The original one I played like, I don't know. I don't remember. It was a long time ago. We're going to skip this. Anyway, this is Claire, who's a biker, which is why she has this leather jacket.
How are the performances? Is this like a male Shep, femme Shep thing where she's a much better voice actor? But then people keep playing as Leon for some reason?
It's not exactly that, I would say. For me, they feel about the same. In fact, so in the original game, I think it was that. The original game, she was way better than Leon.
Yes.
In this game, they're kind of the same. One of the big improvements in this is the Leon story is like maybe 40% less stupid.
Oh, okay, so they have the same beginning and then diverge a little bit,
Well,
right?
they kind of diverge. This is like a whole... So maybe we can skip this. I mean, yeah, so they're supposed to diverge. So I think this remake is great. One of the things that I think isn't as good in the remake is the narrative design. In the original game, their stories are way more different. But I guess because of the bigger budget, it was harder to make the stories as different this time. So like they're kind of the same story in this version, whereas in the original game, it's a little bit more interesting, like because they have different things happen to them.
Yes.
I mean, it is different in this, but it's a little bit less different.
Oh, where'd the cop go?
Cop is dead. And
oh, but you need the key, so you have to kill
you got the key, so you got to kill that zombie, and then there's pizza, and
Look at all the food. Delicious.
A lot of food. I'm the food, apparently.
Oh my god, it came back alive?
Okay, gonna reload. So one of the interesting things about the mechanics in this is that one of the things that made okay, wait, no.
Oh wait, why are you changing your gun? Uh-oh.
I didn't mean to do that. Okay, I'm gonna run.
Okay.
I'm gonna run. What's a run button? No, not that button. Is there no run button? I gotta be able to run.
Probably one of those buttons.
Yeah, I am pressing all the buttons. Oh no, it's depressing the left thumbstick.
Oh, the hidden button, yes.
I can't get out the door.
Oh my god, that other cop locked us in the freezer.
That's right. I got to get out the other way. So, yeah, all right. This is like still the intro. I'm not even doing anything interesting yet. I'm just trying to get out of this.
Oh, the zombie didn't see us.
Okay, now I'm going to use a key. Time stops.
Ooh, I like that. That's a nice animation.
It's great.
And they animated the lanyard on that key?
They did.
Oh my god.
They didn't show your hand, but they animated the lanyard. No! Oh god, why is it so hard? I usually don't talk this much while playing, I guess. But
yeah, it's distracting to stream, right?
It is hard. No! Okay. Here we go. This is an iconic scene from the original game the original game recreated in this new circumstance. He points a gun at her. she thinks she's going to shoot him. He says, "Get down," and shoots a zombie. That's in the original 1998 game.
Oh. Is it the other way around? If
No,
you're playing as him?
Oh, it's actually not.
What?
It's not. No, because it's so hard to explain.
It's okay.
It's not. I won't explain it. But they basically have the same intro, but once the intro if you depending on which character you choose, you see it from their perspective. It's
oh my god.
Yeah. No nose. So now we're just running out of here.
Wait, why can't we just dodge the zombies like that?
You can.
Oh.
In the game, it's just hard. The people doing the cutscene are exceptionally good players.
Oh yes.
So I'm gonna skip this now. Anyway, they go straight to town because why wouldn't you go right to the town where the zombies are coming from after you've been attacked outside the town? And this whole intro we're not gonna watch, but just for a second, it's kind of funny. This whole intro feels to me like somebody watched like Game of Thrones and was like, okay, we got to do like as if this was like a TV show on Netflix version of Resident Evil 2. So it has this whole weird intro.
Oh, it's so artsy. Oh, this is in New York? Or Raccoon City is New York City?
Excuse me, no. This is where I feel like the people...
Downtown 1-2 train.
This is supposedly a small town in the American Midwest that has a massively huge civic transportation system that is somehow like the New York
Yeah, we don't
public...
do that in America.
No, we do not do that in America.
If this is supposed to be like Cincinnati or something.
It's supposed to be like Cincinnati, yeah.
There would not be a grid. Wait, that's huge. That's like a huge city.
It's massive. Yeah. No, this is like... So here's the thing. Like, I feel like there's a lot of Japanese horror games set in the United States that completely misunderstand what our infrastructure is like. So there's a lot of stuff where it's kind of like, we're going to skip this again. So, oh no, we crashed the car because reasons. And now, oh
my God.
Now I got to get to the police station because why wouldn't you just get out of the city?
Wait, yeah, do the L3.
L3, I totally forgot. Okay, I got to get out. I got to get out.
Is there usually, in the original, there's like an extensive intro sequence
there
before
is.
you go into the police station?
Well, in the original, there is an extensive intro where you're outside in the city and you have to get to the police station.
And you have to like go in a parking garage and there's all
yes,
this
it's
stuff,
the
right?
same in this, which is what this part is. Although in this, it's
okay.
not. Although in this, it's not as long. Because one of the things they do in this that I actually like is you go out of the police station a few times in this, which you don't in the original.
Oh, nice.
So like they kind of broke up the city bits into like more than once. So like the first one, which is from the original game, is here, but it's less long. But then unlike the original game, you leave the police station later. And so that kind of makes it a little bit more...
Oh, I remember this alleyway.
Yep, this is in the original game.
Okay.
So there's a lot of like shout outs to the original game.
Ah.
Raccoon City's graffiti problem. I don't know what this is supposed to be.
Banksy was here.
Banksy was here.
Oh,
so
Banksy.
Now, so this is the police station. You just kind of make a mad dash. A lot of cars.
Oh God, the graphics are so fancy.
It's very fancy. So not Konami. They don't make games anymore. They make pachinko. But Capcom threw a lot of resources behind this because Resident Evil 7, contrary to I guess what execs thought at the time, is incredibly successful, even though it's slow and methodical. So this...
That's the house one with the family,
That's
right?
the house one. That is literally the first Resident Evil game after 7 games where you fight evil residents.
They go back to a house.
There's literally... No, that is the first game with evil residents.
With residential zoning.
Well, so the thing is like all the spaces in Resident Evil games usually are not about people who live there.
Right.
Whereas Resident Evil 7 is the first time you're exploring a house and the people fighting you are the people who live in the house.
But that's part of the action game pivot you talk about, right? Where Resident Evil diverged foolishly from its roots.
Diverged into like Michael Bay territory, where it became about helicopters and tentacles coming out of the sky and fighting zombies and volcanoes in Africa, which is literally what happens at the end of Resident Evil 5. And got back to very back to basics. So Resident Evil 7 is kind of like Texas Chainsaw Massacre.
Oh.
So here we are at the police station.
Oh yeah, I remember this.
The original version of Resident Evil 2, which is not the final version of... There was a aborted version of Resident Evil 2 that took place in a much more realistic police station. This is back in 1998.
Yes.
And then they changed it to an abandoned art museum because they thought it wasn't gothic enough. So this game retains the art museum aesthetic.
Yeah, this is like a London... This is like the London Natural History Museum.
This is not like a middle American police station.
Yeah.
Anyway, Period detail, because remember, this is in the original Resident Evil timeline, which means it's 1998 in this game, which means this is a 1998 laptop.
Oh, yeah, that's what they looked like back then.
So look at this like bottom screen here with like file editing. It's supposed to be like bad like
and
90s.
And like 4:3 aspect ratio.
Yeah, and look at like the windows there. See, like there's like old windows.
I'm extremely impressed.
So there's one part of this that feels anachronistic. Later in the game, you're supposed to find a thumb drive, which is not 1998.
Oh no, it's not.
It should have been like a zip. It should have been a zip.
Yeah, the zip.
So
right?
in general, so what's
or
cool?
A floppy.
What's cool about this is when the original game came out, it wasn't a period story, but this is a period piece because this is coming out in 2019, but it takes place in 1998. So it's all full of like CRT televisions, and yes, in 1998 we did save everything on an old typewriter.
Oh yeah, old-timey typewriters.
Remember that in 1998? Old-timey typewriters. Computers weren't invented until 2005.
Do you still save in Resident Evil like 6 or 7 with like typewriters?
So not with typewriters, but the thing that 7
There's
put
like an iPad.
It's not, it's not an iPad. 7 takes place in a contemporary time frame, but the thing that's interesting about 7 is what 7 brings back is the controlled saving. You can only save in these certain places, and it's about finding safe zones and then slowly carving out those safe zones in the space. This is a thing that was always interesting about Resident Evil is that you're in this space, but it's about making space safe by controlled deployment of resources.
Right. So this lobby area is like your safe house.
It's
right?
It's like a safe zone, right? But then so it's interesting because they create a safe space, you get used to the safe space, and then they violate that safe space later when zombies come into it in an unexpected way.
Oh my god.
And if you think about this actually, in my opinion, is one of the things that Resident Evil historically did that was really interesting with the zombie genre, is because even though zombie films did it in like a larger, more apocalyptic scale, zombie films are about trying to create safe spaces through controlled deployment of resources. Like Dawn of the Dead is about people making a mall safe. The original Night of the Living Dead is about making a house safe. So this is something this is for me why Resident Evil was not just a like zombie skinning on a traditional action game.
It understands the pacing.
It understands the pacing, the kind of strategic problem of controlling space in a kind of zombie apocalypse.
Uh-oh. Don't open that.
Yeah.
That said keep out.
Who would do this?
There's all the blood. Why are you going?
Yeah.
Why are you crawling? Ew, why are you crawling in the blood? That's
Let's
disgusting.
crawl in the blood. What's in there? So I got to say a shout out right now. And there is a streaming channel on Twitch called Because I Claire, which is by the voice actress who plays Claire in this.
Whoa.
Her playing through this.
That sounds like an excellent stream.
It's great, and because she talks a lot about like remembering when she would shoot scenes and what it was like to like, and it's also funny to literally hear her voice say all the stuff a player would say.
Let's see, what are people saying in the chat? Domestic title, foreign title,
The chat is very far away over there.
Oh gosh, yeah. Sorry, we just have our stream.
That's fine. That's fine. I'm just realizing you're like, what's on?
I'm like staring at, or it's like I'm looking at the game, you know.
Yeah, sure. Yeah.
Oh gosh. Oh, okay. So there's one person who is quasi-otter in the chat is saying they're listening to our commentary, but they don't want to watch us play for spoilers.
Oh, well, the game's been out for a year. Why haven't you played it?
I mean, here at Game Center, we tend to be pretty agnostic about spoilers.
Yeah. Well, I mean, if you don't want spoilers, don't watch a stream about a game that you want to play. So.
But I mean, it's the same. Oh my God, is he gonna be okay?
I don't know. Spoilers.
Is he gonna be okay?
Yeah.
Oh, I don't think he's
not gonna be okay.
That doesn't look.
It's okay.
Oh,
Claire is literally saying it's okay. Could be okay.
Oh my God.
He could come back from that. Darth Maul came back from that.
This game is so graphic. Hey, you just spoiled another thing.
I know. I spoiled Solo, the Star Wars movie. So yeah. Also, this is kind of a reference to.
Oh my God, his intestines.
That is a reference. So like movie nerd stuff. That is a reference to George Romero's 1985 film Day of the Dead, where that is how the bad guy dies. when he gets killed by Bub, the nice
Is
zombie.
it with that like shot?
With
as
that
well?
kind of shot, yeah.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, so that's like a famous death.
Wait,
from
can we
like,
look at the notebook?
Yes, there was a
I feel
notebook.
Like he's a good artist, this officer.
This
before he
officer
died.
was a pretty good artist. He had his
could
own
have been
little. He had his own sketchbook.
He could have come to Game Center.
He could have come to Game
He
Center.
could have had a lucrative career.
Would you have like? What would you? How would you grade this?
Oh wait, actually no, that's not that good.
It's just not great level design.
The hatching is fine.
Yeah.
He would have been an okay level designer.
Okay,
I
not
think.
great. Is this puzzle? Is this great puzzle design? Do you know what?
Wait,
we need
what?
This is a
What the
puzzle.
heck?
This is puzzle design.
Those are like hieroglyphics. With like, oh yeah, because Resident Evil, they like don't use keys, right?
They
It's
don't
like,
use keys.
Pick up this statue.
There's like a
open the
statue
door
you got to
with the
move around.
statue.
So this is the
Okay.
whole like gothic trappings of the whole
Right.
thing. This is actually something that we talked about in my horror class last night because last night we did Silent
Is there a
Hill
zombie
1.
behind you? I hear someone.
There is, yeah. So like there's Resident Evil has always struggled to like make its spaces feel believable, which is something that Silent Hill has
Oh my
done a very
God.
good job of. But Resident Evil kind of famously would struggle with this, which is why everything is controlled with statues and like. So okay, so here's
That's the fun though.
here's an interesting thing. Why is Resident Evil in a kind of gothic haunted house setting and not just like a kind of normal police station? Why is Resident Evil spaces more like a Vincent Price haunted house and not like what you'd find in a zombie movie, which is more mundane, everyday?
Oh my god.
It is because, and no! Okay, it is because Resident Evil is actually originally a remake of a haunted house game, not a zombie game.
Oh.
Resident
right.
Evil 1 is a remake of an NES game called Sweet Home, which is a haunted house game, not a zombie game. So that's why it takes place in like a spooky gothic mansion.
Ah, okay.
And what they did is just add zombies. But that kind of changed the kind of feeling of the series.
Right, we treat it as like a trope, but it wasn't a trope back
It wasn't
then.
a trope back then, yeah. So here's where the police would make their public announcements.
Oh my god.
The last announcement was, holy shit, everybody's dead. So now we're kind of seeing the aftermath of that. So one thing that's interesting about, I guess, to talk about the design of this a bit. So one thing that the Resident Evil remake is doing is bringing back aiming into Resident Evil after aiming, when it was famously added in Resident Evil 4, ruined Resident Evil because it
They're
made
doing
it.
a press conference. Oh,
Yes,
watch
I'm
out,
giving
they're
I'm
coming.
giving a press conference about
The
the
community
design.
board's coming after you.
Okay, they're unhappy.
Oh, they're surrounded you.
Okay.
Oh wait, that's kind of cool. The zombie puts its hand up
Yep.
to like block.
To block. Some of them have like
Oh.
vestigial. So one of the
These are
things.
smart zombies.
They are very smart. In fact, they probably have sentience, and we shouldn't kill them. So who is the real monster? Claire.
But all these are just kind of off-duty cops.
They're all off-duty cops, so cops.
That's why they have those instincts.
Cops, they have those instincts. Yeah, these cops are saying they felt their lives were in danger. That's why it was okay to shoot you.
Wait, so why'd you have to crawl? What'd you get? What was the point of all this?
It was to find that.
Oh my god!
It was to. Oh no. Cutscene. This is the part where we introduce a character. Hello. Say hello to this guy.
Oh my god!
Our friend who knows how to squish a door down. If that seems like a dude saving a woman, that also does happen with Leon. Not that this game isn't sexist in other ways, but that is a thing that he does do.
Equal opportunity.
Equal opportunity. Oh no, I'm going to be killed.
Rescue.
Please save me. Please save me, cop dude. Yes, he does die. The black guy dies. It is very 1998 in that way. So he's one of the nice cops who saves you. Later he turns into a zombie. You have to kill him, or you can just leave him to just hang around in the police station and not kill him. Anyway, now there's a whole bunch of exposition, which we're not going to talk about. This is where Claire mentions that she's like the biker sister of Chris from the first game. Anyway, we don't care.
Oh,
So-
he knows Chris?
He knows Chris because Chris worked at this police department. That's why Claire is there.
Oh.
Originally,
okay.
Claire was not supposed to be Chris's brother. She was just a random biker girl who ends up at the police station. But when they did this whole redesign, when they added the gothic trappings of the police station, that's one of the big changes. However, there's actually a nerd stuff here. There is a reference if we go to the costume changes, or maybe we can't do it from within the game. Anyway, there is a costume change in this that is actually a reference to that original before Claire was Chris's brother character design, where she has kind of like a a racing outfit on, which she used to be a race motorcycle driver, not just like a biker.
Wow, there's so much story in these games.
So basically, there is. A lot of it's bad, some of it's actually interesting. This is back when, before Resident Evil, again, for me, totally went off the rails. But I like Claire. I like Leon in this. Claire actually kind of has an interesting story with this little girl she finds, which is essentially like a recreation of the Ripley Newt thing from Aliens.
Okay.
So like you're trying to save this girl from her mutated father, and her mutated father is like really weird and scary. So there's like a
in this game.
In this game.
Happens later.
Later in this game, that's kind of her arc.
Okay.
So that's kind of like, and for me, that kind of brings some familial stuff into it. And again, Resident Evil is not known for its great storytelling. However, Resident Evil 2 is almost accidentally interesting when it comes to story.
Wait, examine the plaque. What's the plaque there? Oh, the lion.
This is like, yeah, we got
Oh, these are the combinations in the officer's sketchbook.
Because in Raccoon City, everything works with like sigils and shit. Yeah, it's like a crazy art museum person designed the whole city, apparently.
Oh, look, no zombies. This looks like a nice place.
This is all nice.
And herbs. Get some rosemary.
You know, you can totally.
Witch hazel.
That is right. Okay, that is a puzzle for later. Oh, this is, okay, here's the exposition that is their excuse as to why it's an art museum. Guide pamphlet. Welcome to Raccoon City. Raccoon City Police Station. It's based on an art museum.
And a goddess statue.
A goddess statue in the main hall reminds us of a bygone era.
Oh wait, so this is like, that's like a winky wink
It's kind of like, so one of the things I actually kind of like about this remake, the way for me it kind of improves on the original. Again, as a narrative designer, I care about this. A lot of people don't, whatever. I do, but like, I actually really prefer, even though I like the original Resident Evil 2 a lot, I prefer the kind of like more mundane setting of the original Resident Evil 2 before they redesigned it with these gothic trappings. That said, one of the things this remake tries to do is smooth over some of that narrative. Like, they actually bring back some of the more believable police station stuff that was abandoned. And so there's like actually references to the original abandoned level design of the original Resident Evil 2, like the original Resident Evil 2 beta from like 1997 in this game.
Wow, so there's just layers upon layers of history.
Absolutely.
Of
I mean, most people just want to kill zombies, but like I know this series very well, so I'm the one who's going to tell you like, well, yes, the build from July 1996 had this in it, and this is a reference to that thing. So.
Yeah, I want to play the leaked version.
I have the leaked version. We played it in class.
Oh.
So it's very interesting. It is a lot more like a straight up Romero zombie film and less like a kind of like gothic Resident Evil game. Resident Evil has always existed at the intersection of like over the top gothic and zombie apocalypse.
In the chat, Ram Harpbird
Says that in the original, the police chief was a creepy art collector?
Yes. And a creepy art collector, and the implication is that he's kind of like an abusive, creepy, weird sex offender, maybe. And
so that's why the police department is like this.
This is also part of like, well, like you meet him later. Oh, this is fun. This is great.
Is he okay?
He is not okay. We're gonna see how not okay he is.
Hey, buddy, are you okay?
So smile.
Oh my God. Oh, his face is, oh my God. Oh my God, that's a lot of red velvet cake in there.
He is very squishy. And here, that's nice. So here's my question. How did that happen?
Yeah, I don't know.
Did he kill himself that way?
I think the zombies were like getting excited.
Did the zombies throw him up there? How many tries did it take to hit that perfect bullseye?
The fact that it's so...
That is not an easy thing to do.
No, that's really strange.
Especially not for like, coordination impaired characters like zombies are.
But the zombies know to raise their hands up. They know how to do that too.
That was just some like super intelligent
Shoot some
zombie.
free throws.
That is a zombie that was like, used to be, that's a zombie that was a basketball player. They retained that muscle memory.
So where are we going now? So if we were playing this game more earnestly, we would be like, we need to find the lion statue.
Yeah, we need to find the lion statue. So basically, so we're in the city. We met Leon. Leon's a nice guy, I guess, because he looks like an Instagram model. So she's like, okay, I'm going to go like find this Instagram model guy again. at some point. But what I got to do in the meantime is I got to get safe into the police station because the police station was set up as a place for the public to go, I guess, to feel safe. Again, you have to associate cops with being safe. Also, not America, but the idea though is that
Cincinnati is pretty safe. Right?
Okay, maybe
the Midwest is safe.
Maybe.
Oh, but this is the inner city. The inner city.
This is the inner city of Cincinnati. That's apparently like New York in the 70s. It's like Taxi Driver New York.
Okay, Taxi.
So anyway, here we are. So we're in this police station. That is this like civic space that has been like turned into like supposedly a safe haven, but it's like a ruined safe haven. Anyway, this cop has told us we got to go to some other part of the building to try to figure out how to like lock the building down more because it's like it's a fortress that is crumbling. So we see these boarded up windows here, but these have been ripped out. So one of the things you can do is you can kind of like find boards to board up the windows. And what that does is, although it doesn't keep zombies completely out of the building, it keeps zombies out of certain hallways.
Oh, so it's like a systemic kind of defense thing.
So one of the things you can do is
was that in the original?
Boarded up windows was not in the original Resident Evil 2.
That seems interesting.
So so this is actually something that this remake is retaining from Resident Evil 4, which was like Resident Evil 4, even though it did set Resident Evil down a path to like eroding survival horror with too much action, one of the things it did do was have these interesting kind of like fortress building mechanics where like you could push stuff in front of windows and stop things from coming in. So this game kind of retains a light version of that, which
is like...
the
over-the-shoulder thing.
The over-the-shoulder
thing.
Action-y
and horror-y.
That's right. But this is much slower than Resident Evil 4.
Yes.
So this has the over-the-shoulder camera, but what I was saying before is it's about kind of like trying to survive in these small spaces. Which was different from Resident Evil 4. Resident Evil 4 was more expansive. So this is bringing back the shooting and the aiming and the like, but now it's much more controlled, and so that's an interesting part of it. One of the things that this game does that I think is kind of interesting is it brings back headshots as a thing you can try to influence, which traditionally Resident Evil didn't have. Because Resident Evil had this like...
Oh, you found a map.
It's
Good
a
job.
map. Because you couldn't control the camera, you couldn't line up a headshot. Now, the minute they let you do that in Resident Evil 4, it made everything very action-oriented. Because if you're really good at headshots, it's not so scary anymore.
Oh, is he okay? Does he need...
He's fine. He's going to be fine.
He wants to look at our map.
Uh-oh.
Or she wants to look at... Oh, my God.
So one of the things that this game does is it lets you aim at heads. But in order to stop it from becoming too action-oriented, it makes headshots still a dice roll.
Right.
But the dice roll is influenced by how close the reticle is. So that's like this game's solution, which is essentially the same solution as like Deus Ex.
Right.
That's something that like action RPGs were doing in the late 90s that Resident Evil didn't do. And it's almost like Resident Evil is kind of going back.
Oh, she came back alive.
She came back, did she? Oh, yeah, she did.
So does this keep the... I remember playing Resident Evil...
Oh, so there's a headshot. So dice roll, successful.
Playing Resident Evil 1, the thing you'd want to do...
She won't come back now.
Are you sure?
She definitely will not. No, because it's zombie rules. Destroy the head.
But I remember you could also in the original ones you would shoot them and you'd watch for the pool of blood. And
that's right. That's right.
They won't come
back.
In
the original Resident Evil, you can shoot them enough so that they just don't come back. Like if they lose enough blood, they won't come back. Or you can shoot them in the head in the original Resident Evil 1. But in the original one, you can't aim for the head, so the only way to destroy their heads is to get a shotgun.
Right.
So in the original Resident Evil 1, they did honor the whole destroy the head thing, but not with aiming. It was depending on which weapon you had.
Oh my God! How'd you know you could go up there?
I've played it 6 times.
You're so good.
I've played it 6 times.
Oh, also, is this shortcut? Sneak past that zombie?
You can sneak. Let's see if I can just walk past this guy. Look, he really wants... So that's a zombie. What did he want?
Oh, so this is like kind of a little bit of fat phobic.
So this is some fat phobic, fat shaming that is not okay, folks. But yes, if this zombie was, not portrayed as a fat character, this would be fine. Even in death is trying to get into a machine here. Clearly somebody was like, haha, that'll be hilarious. We can leave him be. So here's another, this is like a weapons cache that you find.
Oh, that seems nice.
So this is a kind of cool thing where like you have to figure out like what like you get like a code, but you can only spend it on certain doors here. So you have to kind of choose what weapons you want. And that's like a way to like have the strategic stuff.
Oh, so it's like a weapon shop a little bit.
Kind of, yeah.
Without a menu.
Without a menu,
That's nice.
So again, like there's...
Oh my God!
No! See, he heard us talking about the fat phobic stuff. He was like, "Fuck you."
Oh, cool. Wait, why did that happen that time?
Oh, because I had a knife.
Oh, okay.
That is actually something that comes from Resident Evil 4 as well. That's actually something from the Resident Evil 1 remake, which came out in the mid-2000s, which was called, they call them like panic weapons. So if a zombie grabs you, if you have a melee weapon, you can use it to kill them. And then because I killed him, I can get it back.
Oh, cool.
So I got it back. I retrieved it. This cop is going this way, so I'm going to run this way because he's not very fast. I can get away.
You don't have any locker codes, though, so you have to come back.
So I got to
right?
come back, yeah. I'm also not thinking about it because I'm just talking. So this is another part of the police office. There is some environmental storytelling here. What does that say? Oh, got to go to the other side.
Uh-oh. Welcome, Leon.
So this was going to be Leon's first day.
Instagram model we
That's
met.
the Instagram model was going to be his first day. So it's all like, welcome, Leon. I don't have a key.
Oh, you need the blue spade.
I need because that's how police stations work. Or at least that's how they work in Raccoon City. Oh God. Okay, can I go through the door? Do I have the spade key? No, I only have that stupid key from the
gas station.
The gas station.
Wait, so you can just drop it, right?
You can, but it's kind of interesting. This game doesn't make you drop things. It doesn't. You have to choose to drop things, which is like a very retro '90s survival horror thing.
Interesting.
Okay, I got to get past this guy.
Let's see. People are complimenting our masks. People really like the ground beef effects.
Which ground beef effect? You mean the guy in the?
In the chat, Ram
Oh, man.
Oh my God, that was so close.
That was very close.
Ram Harper.
Oh God.
Oh God.
I'm just gonna keep. Oh God, I can't use it. I
die?
missed using the knife. Yeah, punch him, Claire.
Ram Harper has a minor correction for you. You can technically open all the lockers. You don't have to ration.
But you have to
apparently.
choose what order you open them in.
Oh, okay, right. That's strategic.
So it's not about like you can never get everything. It's about like do you want the grenade launcher before you want?
Okay.
You know. Oh God.
Oh my God. Well, how come they all like trapped you in here? What
because
the heck?
I'm stupid and I did. So here's an interesting level design thing. This is classic Resident Evil. There's a very small room, but there's this like
ring around the
ring. There's a ring around these desks. So like this is a very good zombie movie systemic adaptation thing too, because it's like zombie movies are like if I had only not tripped over the desk and fallen into the corner when I had 2 bullets, I would be alive.
Right.
Like there's a lot of horrible stuff like that, horrible regrets in zombie films like that. Oh, say here are the boards, so we can board up those windows.
Oh, that's nice. You can just like put them in your pocket.
Put them in your pocket. So Resident Evil has always had like this inventory management where you don't have an unlimited inventory, but it doesn't explain how you can just have boards in your pocket.
The level design in general is very like good. It's like very realistic, but also
so this is your whole
very
thing too.
flowy,
So because
right?
I know this is one of the things you do. You give like critiques of like level
Yeah,
design.
I'm into
so how
level
is this
design.
like seeming for you?
Yeah, I'm pretty into it because it's like non-linear, but there's still like a sense of like hierarchy and like we're like, okay, this is like this side room, and then we can go back to the main hallway.
Yeah.
This stairwell will lead to multiple floors, and there's like circulation. Wait, what'd you just do right now?
I mixed
You're in
some.
the photo
I
lab.
mixed some drugs.
Are you huffing photo developer
I could.
chemicals?
Actually, I found gunpowder because you can make stuff.
In a photo lab?
Well, you didn't find it in the photo. Film contains evidence. Do not leave out. So this is a famous Resident Evil crate. I can put stuff in it. So I'm going to put my boards in it. My key, my stupid key, which I don't need.
Is it? And it's like a crate network.
It's a crate network.
You can
it's a
access-
subspace crate
Right,
network.
it's the stash crate network.
It's the stash network. The subspace crate stash network. Okay, so now I'm going. But this is a safe room. If we could actually hear the music, we would know that like the music actually changes in these rooms.
Yes.
So it's kind of like signaling that like nothing will come in here. So one of the things the original Resident Evil did is zombies couldn't go between doors, and that was like a load screen thing.
Yes.
In this, they can, which is interesting because it gives you the tension of will they break down the door, but they never come into these rooms. And there's actually no narrative explanation for that.
But that's like a solid metal door. The lighting and all that in that room is also more cozy.
Yeah, exactly. Well, it is a metal door. Yeah, so like it's cozy. It's kind of telling you there's a typewriter, which is like why you can save. This is the dark room, so I can turn the lights.
Interactive light switches.
There's
I
light
like
switches.
that.
Yeah, some places have interactive light switches. So yeah, this is like in the original. This is a very '90s part of its survival horror design. These like safe rooms. This is something, again, that they brought back in Resident Evil 7. Resident Evil 7 is almost like a test case. Will players in the modern day accept these things that we abandoned in classic survival horror? Turns out it's yes, if you actually make the game scary and interesting. Here's a zombie that can't come through. Haha.
Haha.
Oh, wait, let's get those boards.
Oh, can we board up?
We can board it before they break through.
Haha.
So the reason you would do that, and again, there's like several broken windows in
Oh,
the
that's
police.
why they put that near the window.
Yeah.
Okay.
So there's several broken windows in the police station. You have to ration them because you can't board up all the windows. So it's about choosing which hallways you want to be safe.
Oh. Oh, I want the animation of her like being butch and like.
So that would be awesome, except that in this game, like this game does a lot of like I don't know what you would call it, but like sort of interaction shorthand with stuff that would be like tedious animation wise. Like remember with the key in the door, like we don't see the hand, we don't see. It's very almost like mist.
Because then there would be like a gameplay consequence
Yeah.
to all this, right?
So exactly. So they're
Could sneak up on you.
exactly. They're doing a very kind of like it's almost like all that stuff takes place in a kind of non-diegetic like time freeze. Very like a mist, almost like mist from a like puzzle game kind of a thing.
This is just this is exactly like Myst. Myst is the first thing I would compare this game to.
But it goes into a
Oh wait,
mist
what
like
are those flowers? Are
those
Eat
flowers.
those for health?
I can eat them, but I have to no. See, these flowers you have to combine.
Oh, there's a zombie.
Is there? Oh, he followed me. What's up? Let's shoot him in the leg.
So you can just shoot them and then run past them, right?
Yep. So less bullets.
Ah.
And that's very classic Resident Evil. Oh no!
Oh, that's bad. That's like
a thing.
hot air. Oh my god.
Oh, hello. She just kicked him. She's like, get the fuck out of here.
Is he gonna come alive?
So
Uh-oh.
so I do like Claire because she's kind of like she kind of has a cool like she's a bit of like a fuck you kind of protagonist.
Wait, what's the portable
And-
safe?
Portable safe is like a thing that has a key in it, but it's a puzzle that you can take with you that has a key in it. You have to figure out the puzzle in order to get the key.
Oh, it's like the Airbnb padlock.
Yeah, it's like an
But you're
Airbnb.
carrying
It's
it
an
with you.
Airbnb padlock, but you're carrying it with you.
Okay.
That is totally what it is. Okay, more bullets. That's good. Let's see if we can find. Oh, that's.
Ooh,
fun.
I like that silhouette.
That's nice.
funny.
But yeah, it's just somebody put a mannequin in front of a lamp.
As you do.
Okay, here's that key.
Oh, there's the blue space
that
key.
key
We were
will
looking
that
for
key
that.
will get us back into the room with Marvin, the cop. Okay, something. What was that? Something crawled along the door. So one thing I really like about this game too that they added that I think is it's got a weird algorithmic thing that other horror games don't do is your character will actually vocalize their frustration when you miss.
Oh.
So like it can happen where like you're shooting and you miss and Claire will be like fuck. And if you shoot again and you've just shot and missed recently, she'll say fuck. She'll like step it up a notch.
Oh.
And like there are actually times where like there'll be this little kind of algorithmic
that's
thing
like subtle.
it's kind of cool. Like I like it because it makes the characters feel more human. So one of the
Because
things
they're vocalizing a similar thing to the player.
exactly. So they're vocalizing their kind of like exasperation and fear and exhaustion and frustration. And it's pretty good. It's a thing that most horror games in this kind of genre don't do it. That's having a character express fear and emotion is usually something that's reserved to like a Final Girl simulator or something like Clock Tower where it's like a woman running away from like a axe killer or something, right? Which is very, very like games based on like a movie like Halloween or Friday the 13th and not something like a Romero zombie apocalypse. So like, but I like that. For me, it like humanizes the characters. Now, here's more boards. So we can maybe go back down with that key. But
It's really convenient that those boards have really bright yellow
Exactly.
police caution tape
Exactly.
wrapped around them. Oh, here's the Gothic library
Yeah.
that's in every police station.
here's my police station, like normal Midwestern police station library. Now, to be fair, this actually does kind of look like the public library in the small Midwestern town I grew up in.
Oh.
But
yeah, this is like arts and crafts style.
Yeah.
Nice.
whoa, shoot for the leg, maybe?
Yeah, sure.
We have 15 bullets, so
Is that a lot or a little?
that's a lot for Resident Evil. Oh, God. But Claire just did the thing I was talking about. When I shot in the leg and nothing happened, she said, "What's wrong with you?" talking to the zombie. And that's not a thing that always happens. It kind of depends.
Oh, we don't know that statue combination.
Yeah, we don't have the statue combination.
Oh, more maps. That's
upper
good.
floor map. So one thing about this map that I like is every time you've cleaned out a room of all the items in it, it'll change color.
Oh. Yeah.
So that's kind of how you know. And it does have this kind of, again, we wouldn't call it, at the time they didn't say it, but it does have this like Metroidvania thing of like, it's kind of like linear at the beginning. And then like the more you unlock it, it essentially just eventually becomes a completely non-linear space, but it kind of parses that out to you.
It like reveals itself.
It slowly reveals itself that
gradually.
way, yeah.
Uh-oh, that guy's gonna come alive. Uh-oh, there's the cop
Here's a-
behind you.
Here's a book
Why do you need books?
to read, to get smarter.
Of course.
Let's listen.
Oh, he's like eating ass.
He
That
is
that guy's
totally
eating his ass
He
out.
is literally eating
You know
ass.
what? Resident Evil, welcome to the resistance,
There we go.
Oh
Yeah.
my god, he's just straight up ass eating.
Exactly. More progressive than you thought. Especially progressive for 1998.
Oh, and then here we see more ring around the rosy donut hole.
Exactly.
patterns
See, exactly. So there's a lot of this
for
in
us
the
to
level design.
escape zombies.
But what's cool is I think they do not a bad job of putting it in a believable way. Like it's tables, it's bookcases.
Yeah, that's how libraries are set up.
Exactly. So like it's not like so I think actually more thought has been put into this game's level design than even in that sense of making it more believable than even the original game from 1998. So there we go. Key, got the right key because of course.
Oh, you
So
have to
now
use it here.
I'm
Okay.
examining it. So you gotta.
How do you combine it?
I need to. Oh, there, okay.
okay.
You got to use it. Time is frozen because missed. Okay, there we go.
Oh, and now we have a shortcut back to the safe house.
Exactly. Now we're back in the main room,
Ah.
right? So, yeah, everything is kind of built around this main room.
Oh, that's why he was radioing us to come
Yeah,
back?
he was like letting us know, and I
Okay.
think it really. I'm trying to think of what triggers it, but yeah, that's kind of like here he is.
Oh, and I like that it changes. He got the little laptop.
Yeah,
That's
exactly.
nice.
So he's like, I know how to use the 90s laptop. And so he gets progressively worse. We're going to skip this. Oh, so that's Leon. Leon wants to be let in. If you're playing Leon's scenario, you play this other part, and you have to get to that door.
Oh.
And so like that thing you're seeing on the security camera is like a thing. It's like a cutscene you see if you're playing the Leon part of it.
Uh-huh.
And the thing is, like, this game still does that, but there was kind of, it was more complicated in the original game, so it was a little bit more interesting. I actually wonder if the same crossover narrative stuff was planned for this and then it got cut.
Oh.
Like, because the original game is more complicated with the way the stories cross paths.
Oh, no, it's 1 o'clock.
Oh,
We have
no!
to end. Can you save? Do you want to save?
I can save, because now, okay, so I completed the first loop. Everything is awesome. Marvin's fine. We got a lot of bullets. I'm going to go to my like 90s style typewriter, which is how we all used to kind of save our progress in the 90s. And I'm going to save my game. But first, I'm going to put my book in the chest so I can save it for later. And this. And my Airbnb key holder.
Oh.
It's all going in there. I'm going to save the game. So there we go.
Oh my god, thank you for getting me through the first
Sure,
milestone.
sure. Now you can, go and die in all the ways you feel fit.
Oh gosh. Okay, well, thank you so much for being on our show. And we learned a lot. We saw some ass-eating zombies. We saw so many fabulous, great things in this hour. So thanks again.
You're welcome. This was great.
Okay, let's cut to our talking heads thing, and then let's transition to our next segment. Our next segment we are calling, usually we do News with Naomi, but we thought we want to mix things up and try new experiments. So today we're going to be trying a segment we might call the Discourse. And in the Discourse, instead of me and Naomi looking at the news, what we're gonna do instead is we are going to have Naomi, as well as the director and department chair of the NY Game Center, Frank Lance, discuss, maybe even argue a little bit, but in a fun, productive, academic way of arguing, and try to unpack some important issues going on in games and on Twitter and all that stuff. So you wanna walk over here and hook that up? Yes. Yes, I'm gonna get out of here. Sorry for all the mic sounds. Here we go. Here's, if you want to get in the Halloween spirit, Frank, I got you. There's a lovely mask here. Oh my God! Did you also see that?
I don't play.
Oh my God!
I'm
Jesus
not-
Christ!
This looks very playful.
Yeah,
I'm not
you chose
interested.
the wrong guests for
You don't like-
Halloween.
Choose the wrong holiday to quit
because,
smoking.
You don't like Halloween, Frank?
No, I love Halloween. I
Yeah,
don't really
but,
love Halloween. Halloween's
I'm
fine.
not wearing a mask either.
Yeah,
We're
thank you.
curmudgeons. That's
Fair enough.
why we're doing this discourse segment, I guess.
Okay.
Sup, chat?
Oh jeez. Hello, chat.
Yeah,
How
so
should we do this? So first
we're
we should
gonna-
probably intro that thing, right?
yeah, so the prompt that we're talking about today, the current discourse, is an article that was published by The Ringer. Is The Ringer an imprint of something? I forget.
This is the kind of in-depth journalism you can expect from Game Center Live.
Yeah, well,
We're not gonna come
we're
in
not
and
journalists,
half-ass it.
We're pundits.
Yeah,
That's
you know,
totally different.
The Ringer. Everyone knows what The Ringer is. It's one of a 12 billion anonymous little web semi-portals, half platform, half distribution method.
Yes, it's a blogging site,
It's
but
a blogging
also a
site.
publication.
Yeah,
but
it's-
also a vertical.
It's The Ringer. I check The Ringer every. It's one of the many websites I check every day.
So here's the Ringer. It's up on the screen.
Yeah.
And
What is The
this-
Ringer? I really honestly don't know.
I don't remember.
Yeah.
I think I knew at one point. I read some other articles on there. But what caught our attention was this very long form piece that is looking at the history of how the mainstream media has covered games. And when we say the mainstream media, we're talking primarily about traditionally print media, although all of these print media now have online versions. Rolling Stone, the Washington Post, Variety, the New York Times, and on, which do have this long checkered history. As long as I can remember, there's been like occasional coverage of video games in this type of media, and then it kind of disappears. And that's what this piece is about. It's like, why does this keep happening? It'll seem like a paper like the New York Times or the LA Times will be like, and now we're launching our new video game section or subsection or every other week kind of thing that they'll do.
Yeah.
And then it sort of vanishes again.
The New York Times basically does not cover video games. Is that correct?
Yeah.
Like,
although,
have you noticed the New York Times covering video games?
that's part of what they're talking about in
Yeah.
the article, that there was a short period of time
Oh yeah.
where they were like, now we're covering video games.
Yeah.
And then it just vanished again.
But currently, it seems like they're not
like
at all.
ignoring video games.
And it's funny because there's a story that I tell people, which is part of the overall mythos, that I sometimes have to spin
Right.
as part of my job, which is that games are moving from the tech section and the business section of the
Right,
newspaper
right.
to the arts and culture section of the newspaper.
Right.
This is an overall shift in how society is deciding to think about games, that they aren't just appliances, right, that we can talk about as
Right.
products,
Yeah.
that they are a form of culture, that we should talk about them the way we talk about film and dance
Yeah.
and so they're moved. But it's funny because it turns out that story is not really
not-
true.
Well,
it was sort of true for a while.
It's true, actually, if you go back to the 70s or the 80s, is probably when a
Yeah.
lot of this kind of coverage began. In video game specialty publications, that talked about like technology, right?
Yeah.
It was like, this new game like demonstrates the capabilities of this engine. There's some real complicated programming in this, right? And then that started to fade more and more, and people started talking more about experience and culture.
Right.
But then the other, outside of the video game world, it has been this sort of occasional fad,
Mhm.
right? And I think of this as demonstrating the propensity of large companies, some of these are corporations, right, to act like octopi. Like they'll be like, ooh, what could I extend my tentacle towards? Like this seems like an attractive morsel over here.
Mm-hmm.
And then if it turns out that it's any kind of threat happens, even if it's to some other part of the octopus,
Yeah.
it'll be like all the tentacles will be retracted. And so part of what the argument they're making in this article is that, well, part of the reason this story keeps happening to games is that mainstream media is falling apart.
Right.
Yeah.
And that, I think that's a part of the puzzle, right? Part of the puzzle is how much is this a question of games
Right.
and why games might be difficult to cover or problematic in some way that makes it so that they're basically absent
Yeah.
from these mainstream channels. Or it could be that it's just a reflection of the fact that journalism and mainstream media itself is kind of coming apart at the seams,
Right.
and games, because they're not already deeply entrenched,
Yeah.
they're just the most recent thing, and therefore they're just not.
Right. Last in, first out.
Yeah, kind of last in, first out. Because it's weird that you can trust the New York Times to cover dance,
Right. Yeah.
film, literature, novels, even
Right.
poetry, restaurants, right? These things are not.
Yeah. What do you think the percentage of New York Times readers is who goes to a dance performance?
Very, very small.
It's small, but there are a lot more people who like reading about a dance performance because it makes them feel a little bit like, oh, I'm the kind of person who might or who knows a little bit of what's going on in the world of dance.
I think that that's a big part of it. I think
Yeah.
there is a sense in which these things are believed to be necessary to understand a little bit about what's going on if you want to be a well-rounded, educated,
To be a
urbane,
cultured person. Yeah.
sophisticated person
Right.
who lives in New York
Yeah.
or another major
Whereas
city.
video games are the opposite.
Yeah, video games are really don't have that status.
Yeah.
It's not clear whether they should.
Or whether within video games culture, as people who make video games and talk about them, whether we want them to be in that category
Yeah.
at all, or whether we want to be like, fuck you.
Yeah. I mean, I of course want both of those things. I want everything all the time.
Right, sure.
And
You want to be like, fuck you, and then also somebody to be like, ooh, you're such an interesting piece of culture.
Yeah, exactly. I
Yeah.
mean, I do.
So
I
you want to
do-
be like punk rock music.
Ugh, I mean, that seems terrible. Ugh. Can we talk about Kojima, by the way? If we're going to talk about the
Okay, sure,
discourse,
yeah.
after we finish this
Yeah,
series,
yeah, we
I
can
want to
do
talk
multiple
about.
things.
I just want to talk about Kojima because Death Stranding is coming out,
Right, and that's-
the thing that I am wanting to rant about is, for some reason, this Conan O'Brien appears in Death Stranding, right? He's a character.
Right.
He's a minor character.
Yeah.
He shows up. You have a conversation with him. He gives you an otter hat that allows you to float in the water in a certain way, right?
Right.
And for some reason, seeing this made me very upset.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know why. It was like, is this it? Right? Is this where we're at? Like, is this? Because on the
Yeah.
one hand, Kojima is like really one of the most interesting creators. I mean, doing stuff that is at least sort of surprising. Like, you don't know. Like, we don't know going into this whether Death
Right.
Stranding is going to be horrible, like a train wreck, like a catastrophe,
Right.
or whether it'll be like deeply good in certain ways, and then
or will
have
it
these
just
weird.
be like a pile of weird stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But Kojima, for better or worse, kind of represents this, the capacity for games to still, for large scale, big budget, AAA games, to still be kind of surprising and weird. And his kind of whole brand, maybe I don't understand the Kojima brand. Like, I always thought his whole brand was that he was cool, right? Or he was trying to be cool, right? He's breaking the fourth wall. He's incorporating these kinds of postmodern self-referential things.
Right.
He's dealing with sort of big thematic issues that have to do with war and
Right.
and industry, capitalism and violence
I mean, it works
and
for a
culture
certain-
and yeah.
Yeah, it works for a certain value of the word cool, where it's like things that were innovated in film 20 years earlier, right? And that's really, if you look at Kojima's work, that's always kind of the lodestar for him. That he's like, fourth wall breaking,
Right.
asking these weird questions, kind of deconstructing
Yeah.
how an experience works. I think of it, so we talk about cinema envy sometimes
Right.
in games, and there's this very straightforward kind, which is just like, we want a big spectacle with explosions. Kojima has a more sophisticated form of cinema envy, where he wants to be able to do the experimental things that interesting experimental films have done for a long time, and where in Hollywood there's been some measure of success for some of those films.
Yeah.
Right?
I felt like this Conan thing
Yeah.
was so cringy. It's so
Yeah.
deeply uncool. Like, I like Conan. Conan's great. Conan O'Brien is funny and but he's just like the idea that you, because he's a celebrity, that you want him to show up in your game, and then you put his name up on the screen,
Right.
and it's like nothing matters. It's just a video game is just a place where you just stick all the garbage in that in your, you know, hoping that some of it will make
Well, it's
sense
like-
or stick
well,
together.
I mean, you could look at it as found objects. Like he found Conan O'Brien because that's just the circles that he's traveling in.
Oh, that's interesting.
Right, and it's
So this is like Bennett Foddy just
it's like-
using a bunch of garbage
the stuff
assets
that's-
from the asset store.
Right. Well, but we know Kojima is also obsessed with like Mads Mikkelsen and Norman Reedus. He's
Yeah.
like, oh, these guys are great. I don't know if it's the same as true of Conan O'Brien, although there's
think it
something
might
of a
be.
type. It's like they're all a little bit of a type.
Well, you know, okay, so here's the real reason I wanted to talk about Kojima.
Yeah.
You know, he was born the same year I was born.
Yeah.
So Quentin Tarantino, Brad Pitt,
Right.
Kojima.
So it's why it's like, is he cool? Is he the
maybe
cool
I'm
person
having.
of my age?
I think maybe I'm having a crisis. Like it would be.
Right.
I would be flattering myself to call it a midlife crisis, but it is a. I feel for Kojima, and I want him to be doing work that is interesting and cool in the way that his work seems like it almost is, and then
Right.
this just seems like a weird kind of throwing in the towel moment. Like even before the game has been released, it's this like.
Well, yeah, he may have lost form a little bit because he's no longer inside of a pressure cooker,
Yeah.
right? Like, because his stuff was always a little bit subject to Konami before. Right?
Yeah.
Like, I'm sure there were some arguments he had to have about content and censorship or whatever.
Yeah.
They weren't allowing him like a 100% free leash.
Yeah.
And the way he talks about his work now, it's like, oh, now I'm totally doing this on my own. It's really difficult.
Yeah.
And yeah, it's difficult for various types of business and practical reasons, but I think it's also difficult if you're suddenly, like too much freedom is a difficult thing creatively. And you can start to become a little bit like you lose your shape.
Who else is out there doing the kind of stuff that Kojima is doing? Is it Yoko Taro?
Yeah, it's
is
probably
it,
Yoko
is it,
Taro.
why does the Japanese game industry have a space in it for these figures, these kind of eccentric, visionary style figures? Are there any outside of the
Well, I mean, we have a
Japanese
bunch,
industry?
like...
There's David Cage. I
Yeah,
guess
there's
it's sort of
David
like
Cage, there's Peter Molyneux. It's people like, we tend to make more fun of them.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like, would-be auteurs. Except Japan is a different tradition than auteurship, right? They cultivate in creative industries people who can be referred to as a sensei, right? And that, any creative form is not, really mature unless you have people who have attained that level. So I think there's something kind of structural, maybe not entirely deliberate, kind of like pushing unusual talents who manage to find some success towards that kind of status.
I mean, I'm wondering if these things are related, right? If what Kojima needs is not just the restraint of a publisher in an industry to kind of force his goofy eccentricity into a particular shape.
Yeah, to rebel against.
But maybe
it, right?
what he also needs is a literate kind of critical context. Like, where would you turn for smart writing about Death Stranding, right? At this moment, the way that you would in film, presumably, I don't know. I don't even know. Like,
there's probably multiple places at this point.
in film, yeah.
Or like for music, it was for many years that one Pitchfork, right?
Yeah, for me, the gold standard is Robert Christgau in music.
Okay. Yeah.
I found Christgau when I was kind of a young record collector, and that style of writing, so smart, so condensed. The thing that was always bad about writing about video games in the New York Times is that it always had to start out with there's this thing called video games,
right.
and so there's this character called Mario. He's a beloved plumber, and you press a button and you make him jump.
Can you believe it? A plumber?
And then at that point, it's like everything is gone at that point. Once you start from the premise that you're talking to someone with no clue. And Christgau was the opposite of this. Like, Christgau would write in a way that was so compressed because it assumed a very high level of critical literacy in the mind of the reader. You would miss a lot of the references that he was making, but you would get some of them, and you could sort of ladder up. You could bootstrap your way into this, and it was a kind of dense poetry of critical signaling, of all of these subtle layers of what it means to like an album or not, all of these like positional things about, you know, about the balance between rockism and poptimism, you know, the meaning of guitar versus the meaning of a keyboard or synthesizer,
Right.
the kind of gender dynamics of female artists and male artists, the kind of global politics of world music and hip hop and everything. And it was he just assumed that you were already paying attention to all of that and would just drop a single phrase or a single word
Right.
that kind of like just played off that, and it was brilliant and beautiful. It was never the case that there was any writing in the Village Voice even about games.
Right. Not
that
any
did
traditional media. It was all any writing that existed like that was coming from much smaller publications.
Yeah.
Zines and small blogging sites.
Yeah.
That were sort of skipping past all of the like. Well, do you know that not all games are violent? And actually, adults play them too. Kind of talk. And that, interestingly, in this Ringer story, that stuff is not discussed at all, right? Like people who are like native to games culture, games criticism.
Yeah.
Somebody pointed out on Twitter that this article has like there are no women in this article anywhere at all.
Yeah.
Which is, and there are a ton of interesting female critics.
Yeah.
Who are coming out of games journalism, which is a totally different category than this mainstream media game coverage. It's
people like Atlanta Polanski, Heather Alexander. There's a bunch of
even like Anna Anthropy back when Anna was writing for like the Gamers Quarter. Do you remember that? Like that had like a lot of interesting stuff. And
I mean, I'm going to go ahead. This article is about something called Launcher, which is going to be in the Washington Post. I'm going to go ahead and take the under on Launcher. I'm short on just having read this article and looked
this article
at like
is
what
kind
they're
of laying
talking.
out the case that it's just not going to last, right? That
not,
the Washington Post is going to be like, and cut that thing as soon as they sent trouble or they have any kind of profit shortfall for a quarter or something, right?
Yeah, it's
it'll get cut.
It just seems exhausting, even like looking at the descriptions of the articles that they're going to be writing about in the Launcher, and you imagine yourself kind of wading through this this struggle, the hard work that the writers are doing, and I respect the effort that the people. Like, I'm not wishing ill on them. I'm sure that they're great, you know, smart, interesting people working on this project. It's just you can feel the effort. Right, of the heaviness of trying to solve this problem, trying to drag this piano uphill, of writing about video games in the Washington Post.
Well, the Launcher, this new Washington Post games vertical, doesn't really have any of the like veterans of game journalism. Although, like Brian Crescente and some other people are interviewed in this article, nobody like that is involved in Launcher. It comes across much more like a new pet project that a sports writer sold the Washington Post editors and management on.
And it's very esports focused.
It's esports focused,
which is like a whole nother kettle of fish. Because esports coverage, I mean, there have been many attempts to do this. There have been many little verticals about esports.
Well, within other game sites.
And some of them had great writing.
Yeah.
The Meta had really interesting writing. There was a wonderful long-form piece about the history of the design of the Dota map, which was like, it was like reading David Foster Wallace on tennis, right? This was like good sports writing.
Right.
It was really, but the Meta, if you go to the Meta now, it's like a New Jersey laser tag with like company. It's like, I don't even know what it is. Like, you can't find any trace of it.
Well, it's a paradox because esports are like a new thing that you can convince management to let you do a vertical about. But they require even more explanation. It's like, there's this thing called video games.
Yeah.
And actually some of them, like, people just watch them like sports. But wait, let me explain why. You know, you have to understand.
Meanwhile, if you actually care about esports and you actually just want to, but you're not obsessed with any one of them, if you don't play any one of them super seriously and you're not
Right.
already embedded in that community, it is basically impossible
Well, yeah, it's
to sort of just dip
incomprehensible.
in and see what's happening on a just like look in and see, oh, well, the Magic the Gathering just had a championship. What were the results? Who are the top players? What is the story? What's it like? You know, across the board, like what's happening?
you have
Where
to,
are
like,
we
dig
in the
in, yeah.
season for League of Legends? You know, where are we in the season for for Counter-Strike? Like, what are the teams? What are the stories?
How
what
does
are the
Magic even work
yeah,
right now?
it's like there's very little, but that's kind of also in a weird way true of traditional sports. If you try to
Okay,
dip
yeah,
into
right.
traditional sports, you also are kind of, it's a little bit impenetrable.
You can watch it for a while. And
But you
start to
can't,
see.
yeah. I mean, you could just go on ESPN and there's just a constant flow.
Right, yeah,
There's just
yeah.
a trough of sports-related content, and
Right.
maybe they're thinking that we're at that stage with esports, but we're not.
Yeah, I mean, I wish them well. I want to see what kind of stuff they covered, but I think I'm also would not bet on it sticking around.
Yeah.
It's really hard. Like, I don't know in this current era of journalism where that kind of solid critical writing can exist in media, right?
Yeah.
Where you have to rely on advertising for to bring in revenue.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not sure if it's possible right now, especially with things like so many media outlets kind of getting shut down and being taken over by these capital funds that are just exist to buy companies and then scrape them for profit and like sell the parts off of like what's happening to the Gizmodo Media Group right now.
And it's a train wreck.
Yeah.
Obviously, journalism is experiencing a lot of terrible problems, and it's very complicated, and it's not clear where it should go. Meanwhile, there are things happening in strange corners of the internet that are fascinating. Like, I feel one of the things that's really interesting is on YouTube, this new kind of emerging form of very long, very kind of close readings of pop culture,
That's
very
interesting,
technical.
yeah.
I would say like Adam Neely in music, right? Talking about the Scotch snaps in pop music, where you take pop culture and then you do this kind of like new criticism style, deeply technical. And it's not just purely formalist, right? It's often very sensitive to issues of culture and history and politics.
The experience of this one person playing it too.
Yeah. And so I see that happening in music on YouTube in a couple of places, and sometimes in film and pop, like Every Frame a Painting, that kind of style of deep dive.
There is some of this stuff coming out for gaming.
I can't find it.
Well, Robert Yang does.
Of course. Now, Robert's work is there. I would say Robert's work is a good example of this.
Right, yeah.
And I think maybe one of the reasons I'm more drawn to it in other forms is there. Have you ever heard of the Gell-Mann amnesia effect?
No.
So it's named after Murray Gell-Mann, the physicist. But Gell-Mann amnesia describes this thing where whenever you read an article in the newspaper about a topic that you know very, very deeply, you always have the effect of like, whoa, wow, this is not only is this kind of wrong, it's almost the opposite of true, right? Because you have, like, you realize, oh my God, the way they're describing this is so weird. But then you forget that when you read every other article, right? So the implication is that
you don't know it as well?
Because this is a field you forget that if you know something really deeply, then reading about it in the newspaper is kind of this weird nails on a chalkboard moment of like, oh, they did not. They're describing this in a way that is not only just approximate,
it's like way
but it's
oversimplified.
They're telling a story about it that really distorts the truth,
Right, yeah.
But then you turn the page and you're reading about opera, or you're reading about cooking, or you're reading about
Right. And you're like, oh, that's interesting. I didn't know that.
The process of adopting a child or whatever it is, and you're like, oh, okay, now I'm well informed about this little thing. I've dipped into this world. When in reality, presumably that same problem is happening in every domain, right? Journalism is really hard And so it's good to just have this kind of general skepticism, I think, when looking at it. Maybe if you're deeply informed about film, then Every Frame of Painting is like an eye-rolling experience, and maybe if you're a musician, then Adam Neely is like nails on a chalkboard. But a lot of the stuff, other than Roberts, which is brilliant, untouchable, genius criticism, a lot of the video game stuff that's in this same mode, I find a little cringy. It's over simplistic. It's creating a model and then projecting that model as if it were, it's overconfident in its explanatory,
Right. Well, the job of journalists, and then also by extension, a lot of this sort of general audience explanatory stuff on YouTube, the better parts of it is to think about the audience really, first and foremost, and to try to approach people where they're at, right?
Yeah.
And so I think about this also in relation to say things like feminist frequency and Anita Sarkeesian's, right? So a lot of people were like, "Oh, I'm really glad that she's doing this," and then people who had done some like feminist reading or familiar with the history of feminism were like, "Oh, this is so weirdly basic." And she would, I think, when she was here at the Game Center, you actually asked her about this, and she was like, "Yeah, well, of course it's basic. I'm not making this stuff for people who know feminism really well.
I would say,
I'm trying to educate people.
What's a different example that I am really interested in? ContraPoints.
ContraPoints, sure.
To me, ContraPoints is also like a great example of trying to reach this audience, like where they live, but with less of that kind of sense of watered down or compromised thing. It's like I don't know what your take on ContraPoints is, but
ContraPoints is interesting because nobody's really ever tried to do that with the subjects that ContraPoints is covering before. Not very well, at least, and not in an entertaining format. Like the closest are probably authors like Julia Serrano, but so she's really sort of going a little bit into bold new territory, and definitely being punished for it. I don't know, for all of the reasons that internet celebrities get punished for things, right?
I don't know.
Some of it justified for hobnobbing or for making overly broad statements or negging some parts of our audience and so forth. But as a sort of explainer level content, I think it's oversimplified. It does have that nails on a chalkboard thing, but it's also so new and undone that I think a lot of people are grateful for it.
Before we finish, I would just like a quick shout out to this person that I follow on Twitter, Leon.
Oh, Webbed Space.
At Webbed Space, who is an Australian. I'm not really familiar with the scene they're coming out of, but
he's one of the Twine developers.
One of the developers of Twine, and to me, I think has a brilliant Twitter game and approaches a kind of Robert Christgau level of compression and intelligence and insight in their discussion of games. So much like weird little crystallized insights, really wide-ranging. Someone that I've really enjoyed reading recently.
Like how many tweets per game that Leon is talking about does he usually do? Like how?
Sometimes it's a thread. Sometimes it's a one-off.
It's like a one-off. Okay.
And he'll talk about recent games and like dip into like the discourse, but then also we'll throw out like a bon mot on 3 in 3, like some old like deep digging in the crates and just making these references that I find to be extremely on point and expressive.
It's good work.
I really enjoyed reading.
So that's Webbed Space, Webbed Space. Oh yeah, Robert's got it up on the screen.
Yep.
Great. Awesome. Well, I guess maybe we should wrap
Maybe that's it for
there.
The discourse.
That's the end of the discourse. It's done.
Thanks,
Goodbye.
Chat. Yeah, we'll see you next week, I guess, unless we get axed.
Yeah, maybe we're.
Let Robert know whether you want us back. If you say thumbs down, we won't.
Yeah, maybe like Launcher, we're soon to be canceled.
Maybe we'll walk out. Right?
No, I like being off camera.
All right. Thanks, everybody. Thanks, Robert.
Okay, so do you still have your mic, Frank? Awesome. Just hand it over to Henrik. So we are now transitioning to our last segment for today. Our last segment is meet a student. where we want to talk to students, introduce our students to the wider community, as well as showcase some of their really cool work and stuff. So joining me today is Genrick. Genrick, right? Not Genrick.
Oh, it is Genrick, actually.
Oh, it is Genrick? Oh, shit. Genrick, sorry.
Yeah. Yeah.
Come over here. Sorry, I've never heard anyone say your name. I've seen your name everywhere, but I've never. We don't talk about you constantly, so I'm sorry.
That's fine. That's fine.
So let me. So first, you wanna just talk a little bit about your. Is your mic on? And stuff?
Here, let me check. Should be. Since
Yeah,
Frank
yeah,
just
it
came
should
on.
be on.
Okay.
I think people can
Yes.
hear you. Cool.
Okay, good. Okay.
So first of all, let's just talk about yourself a little bit. You know, what's your interest in games and stuff? Like, why are you studying at Game Center?
So my name is Genrick, as Robert mentioned before. I'm a third year BFA, and I've been really into games for actually quite recently, because like when I was younger, I played Phoenix Wright Ace Attorney, and my little kid mind was like, you know what, this game is fun, and I'm gonna learn how to be a lawyer because of that game. So like, I actually did like mock trial and stuff in high school and stuff like that. And then over time, I kind of learned like, hey, you know, I really like how like game like mock trial is, because like it's like a competition and stuff. So like I really got into that, and I heard about the NYU Game Center program. I live in Queens, so like it's close by, and so I decided to like, you know, go for it, show off like what I know, even though I don't really have at the time. I didn't have any coding experience or really any artistic experience, just big old love for games. And yeah, here I am. I basically like doing whatever's off the wall, whatever just comes to mind. I tend to underestimate myself a lot.
I should put my
So-
costume on. Sorry, you're in costume.
Yeah.
I should be in costume
It's okay.
too.
It's good.
So tell us more about like what kinds of like classes are you like taking, or what kinds of like things are you making?
So right now I'm taking Major Studio Fall, and I think it's like a really great class, because like when I make a game, I take a long time in making a game. Like I'll have an idea, and then I'll try to code the idea, then I'll put it off for a little bit, and then I'll go back to it, and that can take like a few months. So like I like how Major Studios kind of like focus on like quick, rapid prototyping, and do make sure you do this at a certain time. You know, make the best, most deliverable project, that kind of thing. It's a very exciting kind of class, and I like all the game development classes in general, because like that's like one of my main focuses at least.
Mm-hmm. What's your favorite game engine to use? Like,
Yeah.
what have you been doing?
You know what? Unity is great. I mean, it's a classic. It's good. At first, I was put off by it, like everyone else is, but it's still really good. Super Mario Maker 2 doesn't count, does it?
I mean, sure, why not? You know, you can make stuff. In
Yeah,
there,
yeah,
sure.
definitely. Yeah, what in my portfolio, like way back when I applied, I didn't, like I say, I didn't have any coding experience, so I made a level in Super Mario Maker, and I sent that off, and I was like, I don't know if this would work, but yet here I am. So yeah,
No,
it's
Mario
very-
Maker's super legit. I just recently I contributed. I wrote an article kind of about
Really?
it too, talking about like Mario Maker is just so interesting. I feel because there's like so many new like genres or like new like design
Yeah,
trends.
yeah.
You know, like oh, everyone's gonna make auto Mario levels now. Everyone's going to make this other kind of level
Sorry.
now, right?
Yeah.
Is it still on and okay?
Looks like it.
Okay. Yeah. So yeah, Mario Maker I think is super legit, and it's cool that like you are like involved with that community. Do you still make Mario Maker levels?
Yeah, obviously classes take more of a precedent, but I like to like boot up Super Mario Maker and like, you know, just experiment. Sometimes I even like when I'm making a game in Unity. Oh, now
cool.
when I'm making a
Just
game
get
in
you
Unity.
in frame though.
Oh yeah, that's
Okay,
good. You're
yeah.
right. Yeah, when I'm making a game in Unity, sometimes I boot up Mario Maker 2 and then I just like doodle something in it just to like see, hey, if I did, what can I do in here that I can put inside Unity proper, like a prototype of a prototype, basically. So yeah, going to the school really like changed like, you know, what is considered like game making in terms of like it being official. Because I used to think like, oh, you know, like if it's not called a game engine, it's not a game engine. That was kind of my mindset. But now it's kind of like it's not as rigid as that, basically.
But we also like learned like the word game engine is just kind of this made up marketing term,
yeah.
kind of like it wasn't really. It's basically invented by Carmack in 1993 to
Yeah.
sell like Doom, right? So,
Yeah.
You know, don't. Again, yeah, in this program, I think we try really hard to like try to expose people to a lot of different design and development contexts. It's not about using the best, most high performance game engine or whatever, right? They're all good for their own situations, right?
Yeah, definitely. You got that right.
So in the chat, we're gonna maybe take a look at one of Genric's games. But if you have any questions for Genric or the game, keep it respectful, keep it civil, okay? Then I'm happy to forward some of the questions to Genric. But let's switch over to our game capture feed. So let's play this game you made.
Yes.
Can you tell us a little bit about it?
So I made this in Major Studio. It's more prototypey than gamey, but a lot of people liked it, so I decided to present it here. The prompt for that week in Major Studio was Matt Parker read the book with no pictures, I believe, by BJ Novak. He did a really good reading on it, and the prompt was we had to make a game based off that book. So I decided to make a game with no graphics. So
just text.
Just text, yeah.
Oh,
so,
interesting. Okay.
So try it out. Press space to advance.
Oh, okay.
It's a bit janky, and you might. I'll explain as it goes. So yes.
It's okay, you know, it's NYU Game Center.
Yeah,
we embrace the jankiness of games, you know.
Yeah, I'm glad. Yeah, I always get worried about it.
I was just drawing for my game. Now I'm in. Okay, so you made this as a prototype for the Major Studio, the class you're currently in right now, as like an experiment to like not rely on graphics.
Yes.
Cool. So how was making this? Like was it interesting to work with text? Do you not usually work with text, or?
It was interesting because like.
What can I go?
When I make a game, I get worried about the art because I'm not really like art focused, and that kind of thing like kind of stresses me out. So being able to make something without relying on that was really, it was kind of enlightening because like you never know what you have till it's gone. So that kind of thing.
Oh, it's like a first-person game.
That's right.
Oh, okay. I'm gonna try to do my best on this trackpad, okay?
Yeah, I saw you using the trackpad and I got worried.
It's okay, I'll do it like everyone does. In the chat, Quasi Otter has a question for you. They ask, Genric, what's the most important thing you've learned at NYU so far? Oh, geez.
Oh boy, yeah, that's a big one. I learned.
Is there something behind it?
I learned to fail faster, basically, like experiment a lot, and not to rely just on myself. I admittedly came into like the game setting with a mindset like, my game ideas are great. I don't need to work with anyone to be better at it. And I learned really fast that like, the world doesn't work like that. It was a nice experience. So like, I really learned about working well with others and like to fail faster and like just don't be afraid to like put myself out there, that kind of thing.
Yeah, I mean, we definitely teach that.
Yeah.
And to like iterate and try things out, and then if it doesn't work out, that's okay, right?
Yeah, definitely.
That's part of art making. I don't want to go too much into. Oh my God, Professor Mode. Ooh, I like this.
Cursing is okay, right?
Oh yeah.
Okay. Just making sure.
I would just make my one critique of this would be to lock our mouse cursor and hide it.
Oh, you're right. I should already be doing that actually.
You have to do it on click.
Oh, okay.
Because if it happens after start. Sorry, getting too much into developer mode. Sorry.
It's okay.
Okay, but there's a tip for chat. If you want to lock your mouse cursor in Unity, make sure you do it in the update method on click. Because if you want to lock the mouse cursor during the game or something, and you do it in start, it's not going to work, right?
Oh, okay. Yeah.
But it's okay. This is still perfectly playable and lovely. Yeah, I liked that whole effect of falling with the oh shit. That was nice. Let's keep walking through. Okay, so my thoughts do get projected, but they can't simply protect me. Oh, so this feels like a personal kind of. This is a metaphor for something, right?
Exactly.
But where do I go? I'm lost. Oh, and then there's like a hallway. This kind of reminded me of like Unfinished Swan. Have you heard of that game?
I actually,
right?
Matt told me about it like after I finished it, and then when I searched up the game and I saw gameplay, I was like, oh, I see. Like. I never heard of it before.
Nice.
I was inspired by stuff like The Beginner's Guide, and The Beginner's Guide, because like how deeply personal that game was, and also stuff like Earthbound, just kind of like the weirdness of it.
Yeah, I think there's like definitely like a personality and like a voice to the text here, right? Okay, I'm gonna keep walking forward. Oh wait, I have to jump? Okay. Oh my god.
Yeah, one of the hard parts of making this game is kind of like I just tossed in puzzles in there because I never really made puzzle design before. So a lot of it's random. Sometimes you see things once and you don't see them
Oh.
again.
Oh gosh, this is the right way. Which way should I go? This can't be the way. What way do I say? Oh my god. Wrong way. Oh my god. So I noticed you're using like different like text colors, right? Like, what do you think the orange? Did you use orange for like negative thoughts, or like white for like more like statements? Like, what's your thoughts between using the text colors?
Yeah, I was thinking about like kind of like the inner struggle, I guess. The orange dots are kind of like negative dots, but I didn't want to make it like the clear villain, just kind of like just a guy that's like just a voice really that's kind of like in the wrong and doesn't really mean like anything like bad. It's just kind of rude.
I mean, we all hear voices. It's New York City.
Yeah,
You'd
yeah.
have to hear voices to survive here. Oh gosh, I'm not sure where to go now.
You can actually go
Either way,
deeper
though.
down on the right side.
Oh, on this
Yeah.
side? Okay, I'm sorry. I didn't see any
Yeah,
text.
no problem. Yeah, this is I haven't really touched the prototype after submitting it, so there is some jank.
Oh wait, where
Oh,
do I go? Oh, go this way?
Yeah.
Ah, okay. Oh, I thought that was a wall. Ooh, sneaky. In the chat, Tin Kelp asks, is this on itch? Is this available for download?
Yes, it is on itch for download.
What's the game called?
The game
maybe?
with no graphics.
The game with no graphics.
Yes.
Okay, so you can search for that on itch maybe.
It's a downloadable. I tried to get it on WebGL. It was really buggy.
Oh, really?
Yeah, because like well, I'm not good at like exporting stuff. When I mean by buggy, like the frame rate was just like really
Oh, yeah,
choppy.
sure.
Yeah, that kind of thing.
Ooh, I like how this one's kind of mixing the colors, right? That's
Yeah.
interesting.
Kind of taking over there.
Bona fide thoughts. Can you tell me a little bit about this like text treatment? Like you have all this like dot matrix effect going on here. Like why did you use that font?
So it's just kind of like in Earthbound. There's a part where you find a wall, and then the wall has this text font with the little dots that's saying, "My name is Ness." Blah blah blah. My thoughts are being projected, and that inspired me to make this game. So this is just kind of like a shout out to it, and it's kind of like a way of like how I bold the words that are like the bold sentences rather that are important. That kind of thing.
Nice. I'm only trying to help. Now hurry on this way. Oh, should we trust this narrator? Oh my god. Oh yeah, and I like how the text gets all mixed up, right? So it's like hard to read if we're
Yeah.
looking at it straight on. So I actually have to like do this, right?
Yeah.
So I have to like look at it at this oblique angle.
Yep.
So why did you want that effect? Why did you want it difficult to read sometimes?
It was kind of like a side effect when I was developing it. Like when I saw it, it's like, oh, that's kind of cool. And I kind of, it led to me thinking about like making the voice. Because at first, the orange voice, it seems kind of in control. Because it reaches you down to the pit and it misdirects you. But then as you're kind of slowly getting away from it, it's like panicking. It's like, hey, stop. Like, what are you doing? Stop doing this. And yeah.
No matter how hard you try to envision what you want to create, what you want to drive won't be like the others. Oh no!
Yeah. And he traps you right there.
Oh no, now I can't move. I don't know where else to go now. Oh, okay.
There you go.
Oh, but I have to go the other way. Okay, so I shouldn't follow that train of thought. I should like continue this
Yes.
other way. But it's okay. Drawing is hard, and you already proved that you can make good stuff that isn't a drawing. So give up. Oh.
Yeah, so it's obviously stated, it's just based on unexaggerated feelings of like, because like I always make fun of myself and be like, oh, I came into an art school without really having like any art skills at all, and I used to put myself down for that. I don't do that anymore now, and I think after putting it in this game, it helped like put it out there how I feel, and it's nice that it's there, that kind of thing.
But that's like a very common feeling, I think, shared among a
Yeah.
lot of students, right? This idea of like imposter syndrome and
Yes,
stuff, right?
exactly.
Witness what you can create without a single brushstroke. Oh.
I just thought that sounded cool.
So now you're playing with all the text meshes, right? Isn't
Yes.
this cool? You don't have to envision anything. Except I would say this is graphic design, right? This is typography. This
Oh,
is
yeah.
still very
Definitely.
visual and
It is,
graphic, right? So from this prototype, oh my god, look at all that. Ooh, oh my goodness.
A literal wall of text, as they say.
Is that just like, oh my god, is that copy and paste from Wikipedia? Oh my
Yeah,
god.
I just copy paste some like long form essays that I found online that I like to, that I like to read into.
Feels very, it's almost kind of like Star Wars effect, you know,
Yeah.
that text scrolling. Cool.
And I like to think like the color kind of like pops off pretty well.
Yeah. Yeah, it's kind of like lighting up like a subway like countdown
Yeah.
sign or something, or like hot dog signs, hot
Yeah.
dog card signs. Oh no. Oh no, now we really can't make sense of this. Oh my goodness. Oh no, what's going on? This feels kind of like a museum a little bit. Like
yeah,
the
definitely.
layout, the level design to me reminds me of like moving around a space
I
with like
see, yeah.
wall text and stuff.
Yeah.
So with this prototype, like, did it help you like realize anything? Like, did it make you think, oh, I want to do more of these kinds of text games, or did you decide, no, this was fine, but I'm gonna try doing more other stuff?
Yeah, it was more so the latter. I enjoyed doing this, and I'm not sure if I want to make it a full-fledged game. And a lot of other people tend to tell me it kind of works as it is.
Uh huh.
So I learned from it though that like first of all, I underestimate myself a lot because when I finished this prototype up, I was like, it's horrible, no one's gonna like it. It's too edgy, as I called it. But then people liked it, so I kind of learned to like don't get too cocky, but also like don't underestimate yourself. And so yeah, I mean,
Mhm.
I really
Oh, and
like
you
the
go
narrative.
back.
The third thing is like I like the narrative aspect of this a whole lot,
Uh
and
huh.
and I really want to continue making narrative games with a bit of like an edge to it.
Where do I go? Do I go this way?
You're on the right path, yeah. This is like the final-ish puzzle.
Yeah, it seems like there's some kind of wall here that I'm missing. I wonder why there's a wall here. It seems very specific. Is this the right way?
And now you're talking just like the text.
Is this the right way? Am I doing this the right way? But I guess I'll just go back the way I came. Gosh, now I'm just like lost in my thoughts, you
Yeah.
know? Oh god. Oh, someone in the chat has another question for you. Mega Spell in the chat asks, is there anything you don't like about the game that you think you'd change if you did it again?
So on the development side, making the levels was kind of hard, and it's not like perfect, the level design, I would say, because you can't see it right now because obviously it's just text.
Oh, there it is.
Nice.
Ah, I didn't see it before.
But it's like it was hard. The development cycle for this was really hard to like get through, and like it took me a lot of hours to make like the walls and stuff. Because I would make a cube, stretch it out, and then like put it there. I probably would use something like Pearl Builder on Unity or something like that. I kind of want to make tighter level design is the thing. And yeah, that's
Oh, and then that's the end. Oh,
yes, the
nice.
end. Yeah, so that's my quick little prototype. I like it a lot. I think obviously one thing I want to do is there was audio in it, but it's mostly just footsteps and stuff. I think I would keep it the same length, but also just like juice it up a little bit more. You know, I hope it's not pretentious of me to say like there's nothing about this game I really hate, but you know, it is what it is basically.
Yeah, you know, like we are not our games, right? You can
Yeah.
make one game and then make a completely different game the next time, right?
Oh yeah, yeah.
But also it's nice to have a little part of you inside the game too sometimes, right? So, you know,
Yeah.
it's like a nice give and take, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I like how personal this was.
Thank
And I
you.
like how, it has clear inspirations, connections back to like Beginner's Guide or Earthbound.
Thank you,
like
yeah.
we talked about. What are you working on next in Major Studio then? What's your next
So
project?
right now we're working on team projects now, and we're currently doing a 2-player competitive visual novel where you play as a boy and a girl, and they're both in love with each other, but they're too proud to kind of admit it. So you play as like one of them, and you have to try to get the other to confess first.
Wait, so it's a 2-player visual novel?
Yes.
Oh wow, that sounds.
It's very experimental, and it is
Yeah.
pretty hard to like implement. But I kind of like the narrative of it, and I like doing like little twists in games where so like I kind of want to make it like a commentary on like people have like anxiety or like trouble expressing feelings, so they tend to like overcompensate with like outrageous personalities,
Uh-huh.
that kind of thing.
It seems like you like working with text a lot, because the
Yeah.
visual novel, I imagine, will be a very text-heavy,
Oh, yeah, it is.
dialogue-heavy thing, right?
It is, yeah. I do like stories a lot. You know, like ever since I was a kid, I would just like draw and write random stuff, mostly
Mhm.
about Spider-Man because I was a fan. And ever since I discovered stuff like the Stanley Parable, really, I was like, whoa, you can be like really subversive with the genre. You can make cool twists and stuff. That kind of thing like really interested me. So I try to like, I try to make a lot of twists and turns in stories whenever I can.
Last question. We're preparing all this. You're doing all this in preparation for your final capstone project, right?
Yeah.
Is this helping you hone in on what you think your capstone project will be?
Oh yeah, definitely. I know like again with the narrative and I want to do something with some narrative. And in terms of like gameplay and like making like mechanics and stuff, I've always been ever since I came into Game Center, I love Metal Gear, right? Specifically Metal Gear Solid Ghost Babel.
Uh-huh.
And I kind of like how like
Julia, can you cut to the other talking?
and I kind of like how like it's like Metal Gear Solid has like a good mix of gameplay and story, and like in my opinion probably almost like a perfect mix, especially Metal Gear Solid 3. Sorry, I'm like geeking out right now actually. But yeah, like I kind of want to do something like that and make like a nice simple story with with gameplay that's like that calls back to like old style like pixel games like top down, kind of like Zelda and stuff like that, because those are really fun. Like we've seen a lot of pixel indie games like Shovel Knight and stuff like that, and games like Celeste where like they're also focused on gameplay, but they also start focusing more on story. I personally think we're in an age where like indie games are being more story focused alongside with gameplay, and I think that's amazing, and that's something I kind of want to follow too.
Cool. Yeah, it sounds like you know what you want. And yeah, I totally agree with you that like indie games, I think have like never been better. Really.
Oh yeah, definitely. My God, like Celeste, that game, it's great. If you haven't bought Celeste, you should buy it.
If you haven't played Celeste, make sure you play it.
Spider-Man says so.
Spider-Man says so.
Spider-Man
Yeah.
himself.
Look at this
Let me
costume,
try.
folks.
Come on,
Right,
let's
this is
switch
a
it.
really great. Wow.
Hold on, maybe.
Yeah, full on. Nice. Okay, I'm Spider-Man's sidekick.
Spider-Boy.
I'm Showgirl.
Showgirl.
Okay, and then you can be Spider-Man. Okay.
Nice. Thank you so much.
Well, that's about the end of our show. So thanks everyone for tuning in. Hope you had fun watching us play some Resident Evil, get a little bit of the discourse with Frank and Naomi, and then we're ending with Spider-Man. Spider-Man's a game developer, apparently. Who knew? Thanks so much for joining us. Next week we'll have more guests, more people. Hopefully we'll have sound working on our game feed. We'll see. Technology's the worst. Let's cut to our credits, Julia. So, director host was me, Robert Yang. News co-host was Naomi Clark. The operator of the stream is Julia Delmato. Graphics were by Winnie Song, and captioning was by Mirabai Knight of Steno Night Cart Services. Thank you so much, everyone, for joining us. Take care and have a fun Halloween. Bye.